The U.S. is sending cluster bombs to Ukraine as part of a new military aid package. The Pentagon announcing the move today after President Biden signed a waiver to transfer the controversial weapons. Cluster bombs have been banned by more than 120 countries, but that list does not include the United States, Ukraine, or Russia. NBC News Pentagon correspondent Courtney Kube joins us now. Courtney, this is a big deal. Can you explain for viewers how cluster bombs work? And the United States, they actually really have not used these in quite a while, even though they have them in their possession. Remind us when they were last used.
That's right. And that was actually one of the questions that we just put to Dr. Colin Colley, the head of the policy director here at the Pentagon, and he didn't have an answer for that. He wasn't sure. He said he does believe they've been used in the recent past, like in the last 20 or 30 years, but he didn't have an answer for that for us. Now, as for how these things work, think of it as a warhead that when it explodes, it releases a whole bunch of additional sort of smaller munitions or bomblets. And they have two main missions. One is what the military calls anti-armor. In those cases, the little bomblets, they fly really fast, and they're really hot. It's called sort of a shape munition. It has the ability to pierce through an up-armored vehicle. The next one is anti-personnel. You often hear about the military talking about frag rounds or fragmentation rounds. These ones, as they land or as they explode, they fragment up into a bunch of little pieces. So you have the bomblets that then frag into more pieces over a large area. The reason they're called anti-personnel, Ellison, you may imagine, is because they have the potential to do a lot of damage to an individual who might be standing nearby one of those explosions. Now, the reason these are so controversial is because when you consider these little bomblets, they don't always explode. Now, the U.S. says and it's called a dud rate, the number that are actually duds. The U.S. says the ones they're sending to Ukraine have a very low dud rate, less than 2.35%.
Even with that low dud rate, Courtney, it's difficult for these weapons to be used in a way that collateral damage does not happen. We've seen Russia be accused of using this throughout the war in Ukraine since the full-scale invasion started, much to the chagrin of Ukrainian authorities, saying the use of those in these communities amount to war crimes. Break down for us the rationale here. Why is the United States making the decision to send this to Ukraine, and why right now? Is it because they think this could change the course of the war, or is it because the U.S. feels like this is a better thing to lose in our stockpile of weapons?
So it's not that it's going to make a big difference on the battlefield, but instead it's what Dr. Call was describing as a bridge. Now, what that means is the Ukrainians have really struggled to keep up their stockpiles of artillery rounds, specifically 155 millimeter artillery rounds. This provides them with something that they can use, a capability that they can use that sort of make up for those shortfalls in the artillery rounds for now, while the U.S. and other nations build up more that they can provide to Ukraine. It's not going to make that big a difference on the ground. Now, that being said, Ukraine has also provided them with assurances that they'll do as much as they possibly can to assure that civilians aren't caught up in any of these duds or any of these munitions, Ellison.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.